Hey guys, it's Kyle. I wanted to make a video fairly quickly about my experiences coming out at work and who I tell and who knows what and that kind of thing. I want to do this because I've been seeing a lot of posts lately about trans guys who feel uncomfortable at work, who maybe don't pass very well, and it causes them a lot of anxiety to be at work. And so I'm going to share a little bit about my experiences. The first company that I'm going to talk about was the one that I worked for when I first started testosterone. It was a local pizza chain in Lansing, and I got really lucky with them because most of the group that I worked with was already part of the LGBT community, and if they themselves weren't in the community, they knew somebody very closely who was. So I got really lucky with them. They were pretty understanding. They all were aware of my transition because when I first started working there, I went by my birth name, and I was pretty distinctly feminine, I think, in not in all aspects, but definitely in quite a few. So they knew. For the most part, they were pretty respectful, and when they had questions, it did get around to me, and I talked to most of them one-on-one about things, various things that they had questions about. But again, I got really lucky with them because they were all already part of the community. The last job that I had that being on testosterone affected my job at, I worked for an asbestos abatement company, also based in Lansing, and doing that kind of work, you have to be in a hazmat suit, so you have to be naked, unless you have these special, crazy expensive boxers made out of special fabric that's supposed to be less less able to grab onto asbestos fibers. So I went out and bought a couple pairs of those, and I dyed my binder the closest I could to my natural skin tone. And I mean, it was obvious it wasn't my skin tone, but it was pretty close. And working there, I wasn't the only one to go buy special boxers, so having them wasn't an oddity. But when I had to go into contamination, I was always the last one, if not one of the last ones, in and out. I did that, to kind of give people time to walk through, to shower out, or change to get in. I gave them time to do their thing and get in or out. And then by the time it was my turn to go in, everyone else was in, so it didn't matter. And when it was my turn to shower out, being one of the last ones out, everyone's already, kind of at the point where they're putting their socks and their boots on, so they're not paying attention. And so I was able to walk by people pretty easily. After a while, they did have some questions, and it did get around to me that they were talking behind my back about some stuff. But I never felt threatened. It was never anything threatening that got back to me. It was mostly just questions that the guys had, and they talked amongst themselves. But they never asked me any questions or asked me what was going on. So it made for some tense situations, but never any uncomfortable ones. The president of the company knew, my supervisor knew. A couple of the guys kind of figured it out. One knew because I knew his brother beforehand, which I didn't realize at the time I started at the company. But he was a pretty good ally, so that was good. He definitely helped me a lot, helped me make connections with the other guys, so that was good. And I definitely appreciate him for that. So I got pretty lucky. I have always, for the most part, passed pretty regularly. Not to the point where I can be stealth all the time, but to the point where I don't get misgendered very often. And when I do get misgendered, I'm usually they're like, dude, no. Or I definitely try to create a dialogue with whoever it is, and I'm kind of be like, why are you assuming? Why do I look like a girl? You know, that kind of thing. And I don't know. I prefer he, him pronouns. So when people get it wrong, it definitely bugs me. But at work, nobody ever got it wrong at work. I was always Kyle. So they were pretty good about that. Though I know a few of them guessed or figured it out. Whatever. If I didn't have to interact with them outside of work, why bother? Just show up and do my job. Worked pretty well for me. But I can't really speak for the side of guys that don't pass very well, and I apologize for that. I do have a few guy friends who don't pass, who definitely get a lot of comments, a lot of negative comments. They don't necessarily get straight up denied services more, but they definitely get kind of harassed a bit more for things. And when people don't know they're being watched, they don't act very nice sometimes. So if you want to tell me your story, I definitely want to hear more. So definitely reach out if you want to. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram most often. If I don't answer immediately, I'm either working or in class, so I will answer eventually. I also have Snapchat and email and all that good stuff, if you can find them. Most of my stuff is all linked together, so it's pretty easy. Definitely subscribe and check out some stuff that I have coming up. The Transgender Day of Remembrance is coming up in a few months. There's a lobby day coming up that I'll have some videos with various people for you guys. Hopefully some state leaders and stuff will answer some questions. So we'll get that going. And Transgender Health Fair is coming up. I don't think I'll be at that one, but we'll see. In any case, subscribe and check out everything else.